Matthew?
Sure. Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks a lot for calling into the briefing. I wanted to ask, I'm looking at the OCHA situation report, and I have a couple of questions. One is, what's the status of the international staff that were pulled out of the country returning from Amman and elsewhere? What percentage have returned, and have they returned, throughout the country? And also, the situation report describes an ambulance being destroyed in Sada, but it doesn't say who did it. And I'm wondering, since targeting or destroying medical equipment in wartime can be a war crime, do you have any idea how this ambulance was destroyed? And the status also of cholera in the country. The report mentions cholera twice. Are there in fact cases, and what's being done? Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. On the question of the ambulance, I'm afraid I have no further or better information, so I can't help you on that. I will continue to do my very best to ask the questions and make inquiries, but at the moment I have nothing that I'm able to add. On the question of cholera, again, I've not been given any specific reports about cholera. Clearly, as is mentioned, it has to be very prudent for us to recognise in the current conditions that it is a risk. John Ging, in the statement that we made yesterday to the Security Council that he did on my behalf, recognises the risk of cholera as the case in the current circumstances of all waterborne diseases. But at the moment, what we do have are much firmer reports of dengue fever in particular and malaria, which is normally controllable, being reported in the south and in areas bordering Saudi Arabia, which is obviously of concern. And certainly in relation to your first question about international staff, rather than being specific about particular people, as you will be aware, in terms of international humanitarian staff, the international staff who were at a level of about 17, that's 17, that has been raised to 70. I believe the number who have returned abroad is in the region of about half of that number as we currently speak, but with clear plans to get to the 70. And we are looking at being able to raise that level. But of course, this is dependent on having appropriate security arrangements to about 200. The question of deployment across the country is obviously not a matter which I would want to particularly share at this stage, and I'm sure you appreciate the reasons for that.